Hey guys, Daniel here. This is another video. In this video, I am honored to sit down with the fantastic Duncan Jones. Duncan is a BAFTA-winning director behind Moon, a sci-fi film which explores loneliness and also includes Sam Rockwell dancing, so it's an instant classic. He's gotten to work on so much other films, from Warcraft, Source Code, and even his most recent film was Mute for Netflix. But he's also a comic book writer with MADI, Once Upon a Time in the Future. I got so much blackmail on Duncan, so I'm honored to have him on the channel. Duncan, thank you so much for coming on, sir. How are you doing today?
I am honored. I am honored to be on this program with you, considering that you are the mogul, the media mogul that we all know about now.
Listen, if you said it, it has to be true. We'll just say that now, Duncan. It's an absolute pleasure. I mean, so many things to talk about. First things first, what is the Duncan Jones origin story? You know, when was there a moment as a young child where you said, yeah, I want to be a director? Did it hit you like a bolt of lightning? Where did it come from?
You're sneaky. You're sneaky. Look, I'm very unusual and very lucky in that my dad already worked in the industry.
Yeah.
He worked on a lot of films. He's known as a singer, but he did a lot of movies. And when I was growing up, I got to go on a lot of film sets. So I saw some incredible stuff as a kid and just got to hang out. There was a classic Henson movie called Labyrinth that you might have heard of.
Yeah.
My dad was in that, and I was on the film sets for that. So all of the puppets and all these amazing sets that they built with just fantasy and just Jim Henson just letting his imagination go loose. And
yeah.
And
would you say that's the film?
You experience that when you're young. What's that mean?
Would you say that's the film where you were like, yeah, directing is something that interests me?
You know what? It wasn't that one in particular. That one was actually came back later because I ended up working at the Henson Creature Shop for a while when I got a bit older. But there was another film. It was called Absolute Beginners, and I actually got to go on the film set for that. And they had built like a full city square of Soho in the 1950s. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. This full like a believable city town with people in it and shops that you could go into. Just mind blowing. And I remember after that thinking, wow, you don't have to paint or sculpt. You could actually build the thing for real and live in it. And it was just the most amazing experience. I remember after that one, I was just so excited about world building in particular.
Yeah, that's something that is so, I mean, when you think of world building, I mean, you can't look at your films and not think that there's so much work went into it. So your first film was Moon. I mean, I know that's kind of a funny story because originally you went to Sam Rockwell with Mute, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, which you know, I'm a bit tenacious. I won't let go of things, and it took about 16 years, but we eventually got Mute made. But originally, yeah, I went to Sam with the Mute script, and he loved it, but he wanted to play the lead, the hero, Leo. Yeah. And Leo was supposed to be this big bruising giant of a man, and Sam, God love him, is like 5'8", 5'9". Amazing actor, but he was never going to pull that off. Yeah. And he'd been playing villains for a few times, and you know, I think he wanted to break out of that stereotype. He didn't want to keep playing villains. Sure. He wanted to be the hero, and I totally got that. So I said, look, okay, so this film's not going to work. How about we come up with something that's just what you want to do? Because I really wanted to work with him. I wanted him to be the actor in whatever my first film was.
I mean, it's not a bad way getting Sam Rockwell on your first feature. You could.
Yeah. So look, he read the Mute script, so he knew that I could come up with something that entertained him. But if it wasn't going to be that, you know, what was it going to be? So we started talking about science fiction films and the kind of roles that he wanted to play and what he felt like he was like not getting the opportunity to do. And that's kind of was the inspiration for Moon. So
he said, I want to dance in space. So just sort it out. I don't care how it happens. Just 2 hours of that. And then you have to find a way around that. Very specific.
Beans. I really love beans. I want to eat some beans.
Yeah. I mean, I assume that's what all your actors say. I mean, Hollywood, I think, it's just a load of actors wanting beans and dancing in space. So
yeah, basically I ask them what they want to eat and if they want to dance, and then I write a film around it.
Yeah, I mean, but like the thing about sci-fi, I think this is something I've kind of clocked, that most sci-fi is inherently tales about humanity and what it means to be human and where we will kind of end up. When you were going in, were you inspired by any previous sci-fi films, or did you want to go in? Because I mean, Moon is just so new and unique. So did you kind of feel like you just wanted to do your own type of sci-fi film, you know, no matter what it is?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of an interesting. I know, being the media mogul that you are, you've already interviewed Neil Blomkamp, who did District 9, and basically that came out the same year as Moon did. And the funny thing about
that, was that 2009?
yeah, the funny thing about that is that we both made more serious kind of sort of blue collar sci-fi and everything, and there had been a long period of really kind of over the top, glossy, kind of just silly sci-fi before it, and we both kind of wanted something a little bit more meaty, and so 2009 was kind of a bit of a turning point for that, and we kind of brought sci-fi back into being a bit more serious and having a bit more to say.
Man, could you imagine going to cinema, seeing District 9 and Moon at the same time? I was at the ripe age of 2, so that was when I was born a media mogul. So I mean, I was already a media mogul by then, but I was getting up there. But that's,
you're a baby, mogul baby at that point.
Exactly. I basically came out wearing a suit and tie. That's basically how we could put it. I was just put that way, and I was like, I want to interview Duncan Jones. That's my birthright. So my life has just been leading up to this. But no, Moon was a kind of a low budget film, as opposed to a lot of other sci-fi.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, look, anyone who gets more than a couple, gets a couple of million quid to make a movie, is very fortunate. But yeah, it was about $5 million altogether for the budget for Moon.
So did you have to be creative with your decisions and kind of?
Massively. In fact, we kind of backed the movie into the budget, so we kind of knew how much money we thought we could raise. We knew that we were going to have Sam Rockwell. And then we started writing the project based on, okay, we've got this much money, we've got this actor. We want to make sure that everything is done in a soundstage so that we don't have to worry about bad weather, like rain screwing up our shoot or anything like that. And came up with the idea of this base on the moon with just one actor. Try and give Sam something as juicy and chewy to do as a role.
And you already blew 2 million on the Sam Rockwell dancing scene. So, I mean, it was just with lighting and just trying to... He had a choreographer come in. He had a choreographer.
There's nothing else we could sell the dance scene.
I know, exactly. Just put that in the trailer.
It's a musical. It's a musical. No, it's not a musical.
Have people come in and say, what the hell is this sci-fi? Where's the dancing? I mean, I thought Gertie was going to start popping and locking or something. I assumed that would kind of be it going in. But was it hard not to get lazy when you're shooting something kind of as grand as sci-fi, or were you very particular going in, say, I know what I want, it has to be like this? Were you a bit of a perfectionist when you're working on your first feature, or was it still all kind of new to you?
I have to be honest. I don't think I think there are different ways of approaching making creative things. You can be a perfectionist, and I mean, I've got friends. I think Edgar Wright is a perfectionist, and
you can't just name drop that you're friends with Edgar Wright. Just off.
I can. I am. I just did it.
He's just behind you. He's just off camera. Edgar.
No, but Edgar is a perfectionist. He likes to get everything absolutely right, and that's why his films have such a. They're perfect. He doesn't make mistakes. Everything looks like it's supposed to be. I approach things in a slightly different way, in that I kind of know generally what I want it to be, but I'm like the old Bruce Lee thing. I'm like water, I'll make it fit. I'll make it work for whatever I'm trying to do. So if things are not quite the way I plan them, or if I have to bend this way in order to get that, I'm happy to do it, as long as the sort of the general idea, the kind of the trunk is still there. So
I wasn't
ways of approaching it.
Dude, I wasn't so aware that Moon was you described it very circumstantial, like it all just kind of worked in place. You really made sure it would fit all in that set. You chopped it down to an act, but yeah, it feels like such a beautiful tale. Like it feels like it was something. So the fact that you were kind of working kind of within these confines and still a beautiful story came out of that. What was it like working with, it must have been 20 Sam Rockwells. How did you find all of these different names, of all these different men named Sam Rockwell who look the exact same?
Well, look, that was one of the things we did is again, because of the budget and because of the kind of film we were making, it was like, how can we get the most bang for the buck out of the trick of one guy playing lots of characters? So we kind of divided up different visual effects, some which are very expensive, some which are very cheap. A really cheap one is you got a camera on me, and then I flip the camera, and then if I'm standing over there, I can talk to myself. That's super cheap. That doesn't cost anything. Yeah. But then if you want two of the same person in the same shot, then you have to kind of work out where the dividing line is going to be and
It's
make
like
sure
that
that
ping pong scene. Sorry to interrupt you. It's like that, and then he just crosses over, and you're like, "What the hell?" I was like, "Oh, I see how they're doing it. I'm very sorry." And then it just crosses over. You're like, "Okay, never mind. I don't know."
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that was one of the more complex ones. And then there was another one. He reaches over and he puts his hand on the other one's shoulder. So it's basically kind of coming up with a couple of real nice jewels of visual shots that are going to really sell the idea, and then interspersing it with less costly ones, so that you kind of get the experience of the two Sams for most of the film, the whole way through, without blowing all your cash on one big visual effects sequence.
Which was the dancing? Did we say it was the dancing? That was where you blew your money on, and you're like, "Oh."
Yeah, originally that scene was like 15 minutes long. We had to get rid of it.
No, Sam was just still dancing. You were like cutting. He's like, "No, keep filming. I'm in my groove." And it just kept going. It just kept going. You were running out of tape, and it just kept going. But no, what's kind of interesting. I mean, I know, like when I interviewed my very best friend Neil Blomkamp, who you can all go check out. That's episode 1 of Director's Discussion. This is episode 2. He discussed how growing up in South Africa really fed into District 9 because he saw that xenophobia and racism up close every day. And for you, I know that Moon actually kind of comes from a personal place as well, because it's kind of based. Were you in school for 3 years? Am I correct?
Yeah. I was longer than that, but I was at graduate school. Yeah, I was at graduate school in a place called Nashville, Tennessee. So I did 3 years in Nashville, Tennessee, and it wasn't what I was meant to do. I wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't what I felt like I was meant for, because I'd done philosophy at university, and then I went on to graduate school and I was working on my PhD in philosophy, and I decided, you know what, I don't want to be a teacher. It's not what I want to be when I grow up. Yeah. And it was a very hard 3 years for me, because it kind of felt like I felt very, very isolated out there. It was pre-COVID, but it felt like COVID. You understand what I mean? It was a long time ago, but it felt like COVID. I felt locked down. So that was sort of the inspiration with those two things, was the years in Nashville, and then this long distance relationship that I had that was kind of just had such strange. Was a very strange. You haven't experienced this yet, Daniel.
No, believe it or not, having a YouTube channel where you talk about comic books. I mean, I would assume that would be, but no, I'm very surprised in that. Once I name drop Duncan Jones, it'll all turn around for me. I can see it now. I'm predicting it in my head.
Just if you ever fall in love, make sure it's someone who's in the same town as you. That's all.
Not with a pen pal in Korea. I'll keep that in mind, because that does mess up my plans a little bit, but I'll try and keep that in mind. But so funny enough, you won a BAFTA for Moon. Do you think winning a BAFTA kind of that? Because I speak as someone who has yet to win a BAFTA for my media mogul experience. But do you think winning an award with your first feature film kind of set a bar for you? You're like, okay, well now I have to make every film.
I got to say, it came. I mean, not that you can plan these things, but it was so. It was so helpful to me in my mental state, because I'd actually gone on to work on another movie, Source Code, with Jake Gyllenhaal. Oh yeah. And it was a funny one, because I turned up there and it was my first experience with big film studios and with a big star, and there was a lot of expectation on me. And people, they loved Moon, but at the same time I was just like this first time director who'd just come from the UK, and they're like, all right, we'll see. We're going to tell you what to do, kid. And it was getting difficult, because it was like the things that I wanted to do. Sure. I didn't feel like I was always being taken seriously. And they were kind of just doing it their own way. And then I got the BAFTA, and it was right while I was at the start of doing Source Code. So I went off to the BAFTAs, came back with my big award, and everyone suddenly started taking me more seriously. It was crazy. It was just like that. So it came at an amazing time for me. So I was very, very grateful to BAFTA for that. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. So now I can say I'm best friends with a BAFTA winner, which makes me 1 degree of separation from winning a BAFTA.
I don't know. You know what? You've talked to so many people. I bet you've already got a handful of BAFTA winners that you've.
I mean, listen. Yeah, we'll say it like that. I'll go and go. My friend's cousin won a BAFTA, so jokes on you all. But no, out of all your films, what I really enjoyed was Mute. I think Mute is fantastic. But you said Mute took you, was it 16 years to make?
Yeah.
Dude.
I wrote Mute at the very when I think it was I just gotten out of film school, and I was like, right, I'm gonna go make a movie, and this is it. This is the one I'm gonna do. And I tried to make it, and I couldn't make it. And I tried and I tried and I tried, and I didn't give up, because obviously I eventually did it. But I'd really thought that the chance had passed, and
Sure.
and then eventually it came round after we'd done Warcraft. We went off and
nice. Like, is it because some of the dark themes? Because I think like it's such. I think I wish we got it earlier, because the fact that there was a film like that people were saying no to kind of annoys me, because we could have gotten that. But do you think it was kind of made at the right time, just because maybe?
Yeah. I mean, look, I mean, it was the right time for the industry. It wasn't a great time for me personally, because I'd been through some crazy stuff. But yeah, I think at the time we made Mute, Netflix had just started making so much money that their new plan was, okay, we're just going to lure directors in and say, we're going to give you a big pile of cash, make whatever you want to. And there was a few of us who were like, okay.
Yeah, we'll do it. I'll do it. I mean,
so it was like, I was like, there's no other chance. There's no other way I'm ever going to get to make this movie unless I grab this opportunity. So Netflix were great, and just said, yeah, go ahead, go and make your weird little dark, 70s feeling retro thriller sci-fi movie. We'll give you the money for it. So
amazing. And I'm so glad we got it, because I mean, Paul Rudd plays it's Cactus Bill or Cactus Bob? Cactus Bill, isn't it?
Cactus Bill, yeah. Cactus Bill and Duck.
There's one scene, I won't spoil it too much, but it's a bit of a gory scene with said character. What was it like shooting that scene?
Oh, it was fun actually, because we there's do you know there's an American comedian called Steve Martin? I don't know if you're old
Steve Martin.
Yeah, do you know Steve Martin?
Yeah, he's in Only Murders in the Building. Isn't that his new one?
I think so. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
When he was a young man, he used to be a stand-up comic, and he had a whole bit where he would have an arrow through his head, and it was basically like a little band, and then there was like the two bits of the arrow. And I always thought that was hysterical. So when we did the knifey bit that you're talking about with Paul Rudd, I had a knife made. It was basically the same thing that went through his throat, and it had a little strap bit. So as long as the camera was on one side of it, you wouldn't see the.
I was watching it. I was like that. I was watching the scene. I was kind of like that. I couldn't stare at it. But because I mean, gore isn't something you've done much of, so it was kind of just fun for you to get to do that. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, you're right though. It's not something that I immediately gravitate to. But I think if you do it, it's you've got to go for it. If you're putting that kind of violence and gore into a film at a particular moment, it's because you want an audience to have a visceral reaction to it. Yeah. So go for it.
just
otherwise just cut away or do something else. Concentrate on a different part of the story. So yeah, there's a chance that we'll be doing Rogue Trooper soon, which is a 2000 AD character.
Dude, you brought that up. I was gonna. I'm a huge 2000 AD.
Things are going well. Things are kind of falling into place on it a bit.
You gave me the perfect segue. So will we be getting a Rogue Trooper soon?
I hope so. I think there's a good chance.
You'd be so good for it. When I heard you on it, I was like, yes, because I think, could you imagine like a megaverse of 2000 AD films? I think that'd be fantastic. Is Rogue Trooper a character you really gravitate towards too as a storyteller?
Oh my god, yeah. There's I embarrassed myself as a again straight out of film school. Jason Kingsley, him and his brother Chris Kingsley own Rebellion, which owns 2000 AD. So Jason and Chris basically are the gatekeepers and gods of everything 2000 AD. And I managed to contact them straight after film school, and I shaved my head. I gave myself a Rogue Trooper logo, and I went to visit them. I went to visit and said, I really want the rights to Rogue Trooper. I want to make a movie. Straight out of film school, never done anything, hadn't done Moon yet.
That hadn't worked.
And they were just kind of sitting back going, I see, you want to do Rogue Trooper, and do you want to star as Rogue Trooper?
I was like, it's gonna be, and you were just explaining it to them kinetically. I wanted
I was totally into it. I was like, oh, it's gonna be brilliant. And obviously it didn't happen at the time, but again, many years later. God, how many years later? 22 years later.
Dude,
I have patience. I have patience. I don't give up on
You can't say you don't. You waited a while for Mute.
You know,
Now you're coming back for Rogue Trooper. You waited a while for Mute.
I'm coming back for all of them. All of them.
Dude, is Rogue Trooper your favorite 2000 AD character?
Well, I've got to say yes, because I'm going to be making it, don't I?
Yeah.
But there's obviously other ones. But yeah, no, I love Rogue Trooper. Rogue Trooper's great.
Dude, man, exactly. And I think like it's such 2000 AD, I feel like is a gold mine for potential films and stuff like that. I mean, you look at what Marvel and DC is doing, it'd be great to have like a British type of version of that. I mean, and like
it has to happen.
Yeah.
And my hope is that at least for the first wave of those films, it's directors from the islands that get to do it. You know, I'd love to see Edgar making a 2000 AD movie.
DR and Quinch with Nick Frost and Simon Pegg. There you go. That's I mean that's just DR and Quinch. We need a DR and Quinch film, but dude, you'd be so good for Road Trip. I really hope that comes true, because like that is just straight up a dream to get to see you do something like that. It would certainly be fantastic.
Neil Marshall. I mean, there's loads of directors. Neil Marshall. There'd be loads of directors that could do 2000 AD. It'd be British ones, British directors. It'd be brilliant fun.
Exactly, you know, and I really hope that does come true. But so it's kind of funny how Moon, Mute, and I believe Maddie, your graphic novel, they're all in the kind of the Duncan verse.
Oh, are you talking about this graphic novel?
Oh, you just happen to have it on you. Oh, I wish I brought my coffee upstairs. But they're all in kind of the shared universe. Am I correct in saying so? Dude, yeah. And so, because what I loved in Mute was how there was that kind of, well, I don't know if I should get into it, but there's a certain cameo by a character we all know and love.
Oh, yeah.
And so I won't get into that, but because it's kind of a shared universe, you know, is that kind of your goal? Will there be any more projects in that universe, or are you happy with those three?
Well, I think that will always be the kind of the main three. But I must admit, I had so much fun on MADI in particular, on working on that graphic novel, and the team involved in that. The military team. I might I kind of like the idea of maybe doing a few more stories with Alex DeCampi, who I worked with on that. Maybe just doing a few kind of little just side stories for that team. Totally.
I mean, I have to say, Mandy, I think is a fantastic comic. Like, I've had it for a while and I love it because, I mean, you're a really good writer. So I think getting to see that in comic book form is fantastic, because it's obvious you have so much love for comics. Like we just talked about you being a 2000 AD fan. What was it like making that transition into comic books and getting to work with, I mean, what a killer's row was it? You got to work with Dylan Teague. Was it Glenn Fabry you did some work with? Alex DeCampi? Yeah. Did Simon Bisley do some?
Bisley did, yeah, the Biz. Yeah.
Dude, how are you doing this? What blackmail do you have?
LRNZ, I mean, I've just got, it's absolute killer. It's a one sec, there's a list here at the back, which is just so much fun just looking at it, because they all have their own versions and interpretations of the characters. Yeah, so Dylan, I'll read to you.
Oh, lovely. This is very intimate. This is not how I expected director discussion to go, but I'm into it. Okay. I'll get an exclusive.
Dylan T, Glenn Fabry, Duncan Fagredo, LRNZ, Ed O'Connor, Andre Rojo, Simon Bisley. I mean, there's just Tonchi stuff is fantastic. Pia Guerra, James Stocco. The James Stocco stuff so much fun.
Yeah, he's great. I know he. What's that? He's doing some series. It slips my mind, but he's a great artist.
Yeah.
What was it like going into? What was it like going into the comic book world? Was this, dude?
That madness.
Man.
Brilliant. Yeah. Anyway, so much fun.
Yeah, so it certainly sees there. Your mind has just fallen into the comic. What was it like working on a comic book? Was it fun for you, being such a huge fan that you were?
I think it's a funny one because it's not my area of expertise. I love it as a fan, but I didn't know it the way people who work in the industry know it. And I'd made an attempt before to do Mute as a graphic novel with Glenn Fabry. We kind of did some beautiful pages, and he did some amazing work on it, but we never actually got the whole way through it. And I kind of later on realized where I'd made mistakes. So I knew that if I was ever going to come back and do a graphic novel, I needed to team up with someone who really knew their stuff. And Alex DeCampi is amazing, absolutely amazing. She's so good. If you ever get to read it, she's got a book out. I think the final part of it is out now, called Bad Karma. Definitely worth. I mean, she's done so many great things. But she just done some incredible books, and she's so knowledgeable and so good at her craft. Anyway, I got to work with her on this and on MADI, and look, I still don't know anywhere near as much as her, but just the learning experience was incredible. Every day I was learning new things about comic books and how the page turns work and how to basically break it down. She was amazing.
So will you be doing more comic book work? Is that something we can look forward to?
I'd love to. Yeah, I'd love to. I don't know when, and I don't know what. Like I said, I might try and do some more stories from the MADI crew, but
yeah, I mean, totally. I definitely love that. One of the last films I'd love to touch on before we wrap up is Warcraft. What was it like to work on that? Were you, because you were a pretty big fan growing up. I'm ashamed to say it was a bit before my time, because obviously you grew up in the Stone Age with dinosaurs and throwing rocks at things. So what was it like getting to work on Warcraft as a huge fan?
It was fantastic. I mean, it was a fantastic experience working on it. As far as making the movie, physically making the movie. I mean, I going back to it in a nice circle here about you know, being on film sets and just being blown away. Yeah, Warcraft was my chance to really just go crazy. We built these incredible film sets. We were up in Vancouver. If you know the game, there are these, basically we built an orc city and we built a human city, Stormwind, and we built this massive main street. I mean, huge. And shops, and again, like I had experienced when I was a kid, but for this game world. And it's just phenomenal to be involved in a movie where you get to play with sets and props and things that big. We built a forest inside a building, and we had real horses galloping across the forest inside. You know, if you want, I'll throw up some video clips for you. Yeah. Of some of the stuff we made.
Man, 100%.
Another one of my daft, just showing stuff on the screen like this. Let me see if I can find it. I've got a few on here somewhere.
You just have a little at your table. You just have a selection of things you want to hold up in the middle of the interview.
Look, these were big formative memories for me. Just doing all this stuff. It was brilliant.
It's okay. Take your medicine and go back to bed. You don't have to worry.
Okay, look, I'm going to send you. I'll send you some links. Yeah, I'll put some stuff up on Twitter. You know, I'm on there all the time. Yeah. So if you ever need to send me a message or anything, I'm on the Twitter.
All right, amazing. But yeah, I think, what was it like making the first good video game movie? Was that your goal?
I know we got beaten up pretty bad by the reviewers back then for whatever reason. I think a lot of people have kind of looked back at the movie and said, actually, kind of enjoyed it.
I saw it in cinemas. I mean, I knew nothing about Warcraft beforehand, but I was watching trailers and I saw big goblins knifing each other, and I was like, I'm going to see it. Please just bring me. And then my dad already knew all about it, so we went to go see it. And like, for me, it wasn't a fan. And then like, only knowing that it's such a big world, like 20 years of lore and world building. The fact that I went in and actually you managed to make a film out of something so large, it's really admirable. It's a really, really good film. So fair play.
Yeah, we think we did a better job than maybe that we were you know, people thought. And it was a lot of fun making it. It was absolutely amazing fun making it.
Duncan, it has been a true and genuine honor, channel. My last and final question before I let you go, and I'll delete all the Polaroids I took of you. What advice would you have for anyone looking to become a fantastic director such as yourself?
I think the most useful thing you can do is, in my experience, is find some other talented people nearby, because the momentum that you can have with a group of people, with a team, even if it's just like 2 or 3 of you, rather than banging your head against the wall on your own, it makes such a difference. So find some other passionate people. If you think of yourself as a writer, find someone who's into cameras. You know, if you think of yourself as a director, find someone who really wants to produce. You know, just find someone who is a good team person for what your skills are. Because if you've got that, all of a sudden you're, in a sense, way more motivated because you push each other, and also you're taken more seriously if there's a team of you rather than just one crazy person who thinks that they're going to change the world.
Thinks they can shave, give themselves a blue mohawk and pitch road trip.
It doesn't work.
It's too late. It's already in motion. I have the razors over there. Duncan, thank you so much for taking the time, sir. Before we finish up, are you on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anywhere people?
I am on Twitter. I'm on there as Man-Made Moon.
Fantastic. Any new projects people can go pick up? People can go pick up MADI. I think I got it from Forbidden Planet. They can get it from there.
Yeah. You can get it from there. I mean, if you really want, I think there's the soft covers you can get from Amazon, even if you need to.
Fantastic. Anything else you can promote or talk about? I mean, I imagine you're all still in the hush hush, but anything people should go check out?
I'm in the hush hush.
Oh, fantastic. Everyone, this has been my interview with Duncan. Everyone, before we finish up, you can go follow me over on Twitter if you'd like at SamboGizmo1. Please make sure to like and subscribe. And as always, if you have the means, please make sure to donate to the National Deaf Children's Society. That'll be linked in the description. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Duncan, I cannot thank you enough. I'm nowhere near worthy of your time, so I really appreciate you taking the time. It's been an honor.
It's absolutely my pleasure, Daniel.
Thank
Cheers,
you so
mate.
much.